Hey everyone, Mashiach here. I'm with the functional tonight. I'm with the functional melancholy. You know, tonight I'm just gonna listen to him. Sometimes I think he's my Elijah. I think he's like the one that's calling me in, like trying to tell everybody where they need to be right now. While but he could be the Messiah. I mean, it is what it is. I could be the Elijah. He could be the Messiah. He could be the Messiah. He could be the Elijah. Who knows? But this guy, he does capture my attention. So I'm gonna go through whatever the melancholo, the functional melancholy. It's kind of like it's not depression. It's just kind of like, hey man, just want to be left alone for a while. Want to figure it out for myself. Yeah, I get melancholy a lot. A lot of people will I think they confuse it with depression. But to be melancholy, is just to understand, the world as it is, and you just go on. You know, I mean, I guess that's it. But anyway, I'm gonna give this man about half time here, so we'll see where we go with this. But yeah, he's kind of like a prophet. He's like an Elijah. Know what I love about man? He's gonna be in 2027. That is the eclipse. That see, he's wearing it. He's wearing it. He's wearing what August 2nd, 2027 is all about. Right there. Not all about, but where still you need to stand in a melancholic way. Like, yes, the darkness is covering us. But above Israel on that day, that's going to happen. That's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. Yep. But in Israel, it's going to be a crescent sun. So I try to make it to the crescent sun. We're trying to make it to peace. But anyway, let's go on with this and let's see what we gotta say and listen to the melancholy man. I hope let's see, what the hell did I do with my channel control unit? Let's see what we got here. Oh, jeez. Oh, here it is. It fell sideways. All right. It fell sideways. It was like, all right, here we go. Going for it, man. Functional melancholo. Uh, let's do it. Let's see what we can find out about each other in the world in general. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm open. And it's time to play.
Up and felt like you were attending a funeral you weren't invited to. I don't mean a real funeral. Obviously, those are at least honest. There's a body, some bad coffee, a few crying relatives. You know why you're there. I'm actually talking about that feeling, that weird, quiet awareness that everything you've ever loved will die. Your parents, your dog, your neighbor's dog, that restaurant you went to on your third date, your
All right, all right. I don't want everybody to feel like this is a downer video, you know? I mean, because this is being melancholy. I mean, you got to think about these things at sometimes, and we all do. So, like, he, like, heightens it out for us, and I think he does a great job. But anyway, yeah, everybody dies. I mean, mothers, fathers, I've had my own share of death in the world. That's why I do. That's why I'm still moving on to live. That's what it's all about. But let's go on.
body, your favorite pair of pants, Eventually, even your sense of humor. But if you're lucky, you go out with it still intact. Unfortunately, however, most of us die long before we stop breathing. And the thing is,
Now, see, that's where I disagree with the melancholic. All right? That's where I disagree. I think that let me just go through this one more time. He kind of stumped me here, but let's see what he says here. Let's go.
dog, your neighbor's dog, that restaurant you went to on your third date, your body, your favorite pair of pants, eventually even your sense of humor. But if you're lucky, you go out with it still intact. Unfortunately, however, most of us die long before we stop breathing.
Now that's where I say he's wrong. See, this is where I say he's wrong. This is and none of us die before we stop breathing. And I just would like to tell the melancholic, I died. And the date was September 14th, 2007. And it was the second day of Rosh Hashanah when they call back the, uh, the Messiah. You know, they call in the Messiah on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. They blow the horn twice just so they make sure everybody knows. And that's the day. It was also the day of the cross and the second day of Ramadan, which is eventful for me coming back to life because on the first day of Ramadan, on December 25th, 1965, seventh day of Hanukkah, I was born. Anyway, I'm just saying, it is, we must always live like we're alive. I mean, there is no feeling of death while we're here. I just don't see how people can feel that way, you know. And it's like, well, all you got to do is say snap out of it or whatever. But man, you gotta. It is what it is.
And the thing is, that's the good news. Now, wait, this isn't one of those death gives life meaning inspirational TED Talks where some guy with perfect teeth tells you to journal your gratitude while sipping highbrow tea in a yurt. I'm not here to peddle fake hope. I'm here to try to give you something much better. Perspective. And by perspective, I mean that rusty, heavy, uncomfortable gift that you didn't really ask for, but you kind of need in order.
And that's who Elijah is going to be. You think Elijah is going to be coming to us like joy, joy, hope, hope in a time of trouble like today? So this man coming in and saying, you know, hey, it's time to wake up a little bit here, everybody. You know, I think he's pointing the way to the Messiah, or he's the Messiah himself, and I'm pointing the way to him. So, I mean, what is it? The melancholic or the, you know, I don't know. I don't know how you even freaking describe me. But anyway, it is what it is. What is it? Flop side of flop side. You know, the underbelly. You know, here it is. I mean, that's Mashiach, you know. You got to see the underbelly. Boom. Leave them alone. Let them live. All right, here we go.
In order to stop screaming into the void every time Instagram shows you a targeted ad for emotional fulfillment. Because this is reality. Yes, everyone and everything you've ever loved will die. And that sucks. I get it. But
Been there, know what death is, man. Believe me. I know what death is. I was a Cincinnati firefighter for years. Saw death all around me all the time. Could tell you stories all the time about living and dying. I had some very close relatives that went before me, just like everybody else does. That's nothing special. It's just I think what's special is how we see them die, or in which fashion, or how that makes us think, or whatever it is. We must always carry on, though, melancholy or not. But man, melancholies, I think melancholies are here to pull us out from the last breath. Yep. Yeah, I think they're always here for that. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, here we go. He might be. I think he's Elijah. Everybody thinks Elijah's going to come back on a swirling, twirling thing of lightning bolts and fire. But man, I think this dude is just like he's bringing Elijah on a chariot that just it just smooth sails in. Nice landing. That's melancholy. I mean, who hasn't been like up there looking down at the ground and saying, "Holy cow! I hope we make it in," and just be quiet and you go silent. And then before you know it, you hear the wheels hit the runway. That's melancholy, man. And then you just give a little grin or smile, or your heart feels good at least. All right, let's move forward.
Also, thank God, or the universe, or whatever. Because can you imagine the nightmare of nothing ever ending? Having to maintain every relationship, every job, every version of yourself forever.
But don't we? See, now that's the whole thing, is I think we still do. Like, so here we are in this, like, lifetime, and it's pretty crazy because this is the first time that we have ever in human form been able to communicate through a screen to the masses. It's crazy, but this is what it is. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we gotta know that everything's going to be okay this way. I mean, we're not hunter gatherers anymore. We don't. I mean, I do. I could go out and hunter. Everybody is a hunter gatherer. Yeah, that we're always going to have but our technology is growing so quick and so fast that as humanity we must keep up, because what it's all about in the end, it's about keeping your history, which is always embedded in the DNA or memory of anything that is to come, which will ensure your return into form again. So there's like, yeah, I get it. You could be melancholy about that because, like, what is it? Like, what? But it's to ensure that our thoughts are continuous. I mean, here we are. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's saying, I mean, do you want to live this way of infinite? We come from the infinite, we're going into the infinite, and infinite we are today. I don't know. I think the melancholic would agree with that. And so there is meaning always there because we are very aware of it. So just making yourself aware, like, should make yourself like a hop, skip, and a jump every now and again. Even the melancholic, has to, jump over a puddle in glee every here and there. But anyway, here we go.
Yeah, no thanks.
All right, I gotta let this roll a little bit more.
Immortality, it sounds wonderful until you realize it's just an infinite group chat you can't leave. So here's the thought. Maybe the real problem isn't death, it's denial. I don't think we actually fear death itself. I think what we fear is knowing it's real while still having to navigate the mundane details of life, like responding to.
I think the only thing real about death is not, that it's there. We all know we're going to enter into, maybe, who knows? I mean, we're infinite, right? I mean, that's how we have to, I think that's who we are. So I think being in this body confuses us that we're not infinite, but here we are. So I'm gonna let him go though.
Emails or doing taxes. It seems to me that we've built this whole society on pretending that permanence actually exists, that careers last, or that love is a contract.
But infinity is permanence. It's permanent. It's what we come from. It's what we're going into. It's what we're here for now. You know, it's permanent. It's like a permanent contract with who we are to ourselves. You know, never been created, can never be destroyed. It can only change form. I mean, it's not hard to figure out. Don't have to be AI, that's for sure.
Like your face is gonna stay the same even after 40. And we take selfies as if the internet will save us from decay. Or we get married like it's a guarantee, even though 50% of marriages end in divorce. Then we upload our memories into cloud servers where, like we're gonna outsmart entropy with two-factor authentication.
You know what I think that is? Like us uploading things, it's like trying to tell those to come after us that we were here and this was our art and this was our technology at the time. I think we all put that note out there, and I think it's happened in the past. It's why we still. It's why we still kind of, you know, hope about the future that these things will be found. I remember even like putting small coins up on uh, a mountain in Catalina Mountains up in Tucson, in the recons. Putting what I thought maybe would be found in the future. I think that we do that. I wonder how many when they dig up the railroad gravel pits in the future, how many flat pennies they'll find from the railroads that never found the kids never found the pennies. They just got hidden in the rocks. You know. They'll put them on display. And everybody will come by and look at them. And they'll be at the end of 84th place in Chicago, Illinois.
It's all denial.
At the
Really
tracks.
expensive, credit card destroying denial steeped in anxiety. And underneath it all, most of us are low-key panicking. Because on some level, you already know what I'm saying is true. You just don't want to hear it from some melancholic on YouTube with a camera and too many books.
No, I think he brings out a lot of truths.
However, I don't
You know?
necessarily see death as a tragedy. I think the real tragedy is that we've turned life into something like a waiting room for something else. You know, something.
You know what? I've heard that before. Like, the worst thing to be is just waiting to die. You know, like, that's the worst place to be. And yet, that's what so many people are doing today without truly living, without truly creating. You know, I mean, is that a melancholic viewpoint or whatever? I mean, is what it is. The functional Mel, you know, he could get you into that place. So got to be careful, I guess. But it's healthy.
That we think is more grandiose and more meaningful, um, less disappointing. And we keep postponing our peace for when things will supposedly be better. But better never.
I just want to say, he said, we keep on postponing our peace. And so all I got to do is say, what is peace? You know? And I wonder what his version of peace is. I mean, I'm sure he has spoken about it before, but, you know, like, where do we really agree on it? Like, what is the feeling of it? And to me, the feeling of peace is like if you ever lose your keys or lose your wallet or lose your phone and you find it. And then that's it. It's that feeling of like nothing's lost. Like everything is where it's supposed to be. And you don't have to really anyway.
Really arrives. It just dies like everything else. So yeah, we're gonna
Unless you
lose
find
all.
it. That's when it
Every single
dies, is
thing,
when you
and
find
that
it.
should make us want to
That's your
live
peace.
more
That's
fully,
that's
not hide better. Okay, so this kind of reminds me of this quote from Charles Bukowski. He wrote, "We're all going to die. All of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We're terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing." Okay, let me tell you a little story. I used to own.
I just wanted to say everybody should look into Bukowski. He is a great American poet that has kind of like helped people turn a corner into the reality of who you are as a human being, especially on the lower end of the rungs and what you see. And I'm sure it's the top end of the rungs too, but it's just said in a different way. But anyway, that's Charles Bukowski. And I was introduced to him by my daughter that I was introduced to at 17, and she introduced me to the reality of Charles Bukowski. It is what it is, but anyway.
this
Elijah
ugly chipped
Mashiach, who knows?
ashtray.
All right, here we go.
Found it at a garage sale back when I still smoked and thought irony was a personality. It had a cartoon duck on it and the word quack in Comic Sans. Now, for some reason, I loved that thing. I don't know why. It wasn't beautiful, but it was mine. A relic of some idiosyncratic, unrepeatable version of me. And then one day, it fell off the windowsill and shattered, and I stood there like some grieving widower in a discount robe, staring at ceramic duck parts all over the floor. It was stupid and trivial, I know. But also, it wasn't. Because for me, it served as a small reminder that nothing is guaranteed to stick around just because you like it a lot. And that's why it mattered. That's why it kind of hurt. That's why it was real. I think we live in a culture that tries to turn love into a receipt and death into a glitch.
Well, we always try to explain it, you know? I mean, but if you try to explain anything in between, it's always going to take you into the outer realms to where it can be stretched as far as it can. And once you reach there, then you see that the great I say informer, putting everything in form again. We always have two chances, one from the angel or one from the shaitan of Hashem. And that's where it is. It's the kissing of the crescent sun, the kissing of both light beams. Boom, perfectly. Which will happen again. The shaitan and the angel, and wrapped in. I mean, that all comes from Hashem. That all comes from the name. That all comes from God. We are all Israel. I mean, we all struggle with God. That's it. We all have this struggle. Nobody's 100%. No. Anyway, I'm getting off here a little bit, and I'm sure the melancholic doesn't want to go into the religious aspects right now. But I had to just like pop that in there as a potential Mashiach.
But we're not here to try to outwit the ending. I think we're really here to feel it. All of it. No matter what it is. There's a quote by Rainer Maria Rilke that I've always liked. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Now, what I think Rilke is saying here is that life is going to kick you in the teeth, kiss you on the forehead, and then light your house on fire, sometimes all in the same week. But, try not to panic. But let's break this down. Let everything happen to you. It's poetic, but
It's called being vulnerable. You got to be vulnerable. You got to be vulnerable to those around you at times. You must. It's a must of us all. If you totally make yourself protective, then you're not going to feel the true way of being human. Because human, but yeah, keep it close. You know what I mean? You do have to keep it close. So anyway, I'm sorry if I interrupted her.
it's also a dare. It means don't spend your whole life bubble wrapping your feelings. Don't hide from grief uh, or heartbreak or that gnawing anxiety that your life is maybe a cautionary tale.
I'm going to tell you what. My daughter, the bride of Mashiach, I call her the bride of Mashiach because I gave her away. I had to give her away in ashes at Mill Creek at Jediah Hill in Cincinnati. But I'll tell you what. You got to live. You got to move on at all times. You got to try to find meaning in everything. In everything.
Don't spend your whole life bubble wrapping your feelings. Don't hide from grief.
And that's what I was trying to say. Is when the bride of Mashiach, it's why I hardly think about grief with the bride, with my daughter. It's because she asked me one time, "Are you going to grieve when I die?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." She said, "Don't. I don't want you to grieve me." And I haven't. And it has brought me closer to the truth of what is infinite and our place in the infinite now, yesterday, tomorrow, but especially now. For in the eyes of the bride, I looked when she was born, and they were dark as night. And when the bride had passed before me, I looked into her eyes, and they were dark as night. And when I looked into them between those two times, in the infinite sea of today, they were both a beautiful brown, living. I think only green colors make brown, or a perfect of it is what it is. Maybe brown makes green, or hazel, or whatever it is we see. But my daughter told me not to grieve her, and it was the best advice she ever gave me. She was strong. That's what you want your daughter to be.
Or heartbreak, or that gnawing anxiety that your life is maybe a cautionary tale. Also, don't cling to the good stuff like it's a hostage, because the good stuff leaves too, as we all know. I think the universe, it's like a bad landlord. It eventually takes everything back.
But don't let go of their smiles.
Okay. Just keep going.
And do that
That's
too.
Rilke's way of saying walk through the fire, through the boredom, the awkward Tuesday afternoons where your soul feels like an old motel carpet or something. Just keep going, because standing still doesn't really stop the storm.
Don't.
It just lets it
Yeah,
drown you a little slower.
that's it. When you're at your lowest, get out of it.
And
when you're at
no
your lowest,
feeling
pull
is
yourself
final.
out. Show them what you got.
That's the punchline here. Your misery, temporary.
That's
Your
it.
joy, also temporary. The point isn't to hold on to any of it.
In this life, it's temporary,
It's to
but
realize
in
that
form,
life
this form,
is a constant, absurd
it's to make sure that he knows what
experiences.
that's all about.
And your job is to just keep walking no matter what. Preferably without pretending you're above it all.
But you got to keep going. But there's no other choice.
You're supposed to enjoy
That's
every
it.
minute of it, of course.
No matter what you do, there's going to be no other choice. But
So,
keep on
in
going.
other
See
words,
where it takes you.
Rilke's giving you permission to
That's
stop
called
trying
liking
to control
yourself.
life like
You
it's
gotta
a
like yourself.
playlist. Just let it all play. Skip nothing. Because even the shitty songs eventually end, right?
And if it's not a shitty song, it's going to be a good song. So you still have to try to discover it, man, or where the next water hole is. It might be
to die. Well,
Right.
almost nobody. But also nobody tells you, or nobody really wants to live forever, right? I think what we
I don't know.
really
I think we
want
just do. We're
is
infinite.
not to lose anything
We just
that we
like
love.
get knocked out of this form, you know.
We want to hit pause
I
on
mean, knocked
the
out.
good parts and fast forward through the bad ones. Like life is some DVD we forgot to return to Blockbuster in 2003. But all this clinging and this desperate emotional hoarding that we do, I think these are unhealthy attachments that are making us miserable. So, the Stoics had this word, premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. So what it is, it's a Stoic exercise in imagining what might go wrong before it actually happens. Now,
All right. We got to understand, man, this about the Stoics. And it is, when we do talk of the Stoics, just kind of take a step back and say, how do I incorporate this into my own being? Because it usually does lessen tempers. Like they could have used a lot of Stoics in Cincinnati the other weekend, you know? Just somebody, but you know, it is what it is. Let's keep it going.
at first glance, it sounds bleak, like pessimism dressed in a toga or something. But the purpose isn't to wallow in worst case scenarios. By rehearsing possible misfortunes in the mind, the Stoics believed you could strip them of their power, toughen your nerves, and meet real hardship with a steadier hand when it inevitably arrives. One of the great Stoics of old, Seneca, once wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books every day." So, in simple terms, live like you might not wake up tomorrow, because, as you know, one day you won't. Now, I realize that some of these quotes might sound almost like platitudes. Nonetheless, I think they're just as relevant and powerful as ever. My mental...
I died on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, 2007. And when they took the electric paddles and put them on my chest and brought me back from death, I said to them, will you all shut the fuck up? I'm trying to sleep. So understand, that is where we're going. So live your life now like you're awake. With the mini sleeps. You know, we got mini sleeps in between. But we're all going to come back. It's all going to happen. We'd never die. I'm going to leave it here, you know. I'm going to leave it here. I think 14 minutes 53 seconds. Yep, I'll put his the rest of the tape below. I think he's like I say, is he my Elijah or he's my Messiah? You know, am I his Elijah or am I his Messiah? You know, I mean, I think we could one day maybe have a very deep discussion about, you know, life in general is what it is. But it's good that that he gives us these every now and again, his thoughts. And who isn't melancholy? Melancholy is man. Just enjoy it. You gotta go there. You gotta go around the edge of that depth that you just might slide in a bit more, but you gotta always struggle to get yourself out. You gotta not struggle, but you gotta pull yourself. You gotta work to pull yourself out of there, no matter what it takes. And that was when you're a strong melancholy being, then you'll see a truth in a matter that's out there, man. That all truth is what it's all about, and you just accept it, and you become one of our strongest stoics that there is. But it's always about working with the people. And he's, I know that the functional melancholo, that's where he's always striving to end up, is with the people, and the people accepting him, and him and accepting the people. We just move through it. That's the way it goes. All right, everybody. Later. Have a good one.